the pictures yet, sir, for the drawings.
Yes.
So I'll show you the. I'll just share screen for the drawings and the system. The first, the pen, the simple pen, and the other drawings for the capacitor connection to the macro.
What I need to do, what I want you to show is the original coils we produced for energy, the double coils. Do you have that on your?
Okay, the normal macro power coil.
Yes, the Magra PowerPoint. Yes,
I'll get on top.
please. Okay. This is the Magra copper coils.
Yes, sir.
What we
So
have seen in this, yeah, okay. If you have a picture of it or on the blueprints of it, we can have a look at those. No problem.
okay, I'll
What we
show
have
you.
shown, what we have shown in these is the flat coil system. And what these flat coils have done, if you notice, they have a small variation from the real process in the space or in the plasma of the man. If you notice these, I try to go on the, or you can show it running on your with your hand. The magnetical and gravitational coil end up in the same position on the top. They're connected in that position. And in space, this does not happen. In the plasma, this does not happen. The connection of the gravitational magnetic field is in different position. The magnetic field enter from the bottom and exit from the top. The way these coils are set, we had to readjust them. The new coils which you need to use for the health is uh, the uh, section which you have to move the gravitational coil 90 degrees in respect to the magnetical and then turn it. This still is not correct because now you see you're still connected in the wrong way. So for the health sections, we have developed a new way of connection. Can you show us the coils you use for the health application, please?
I will show you a 3D version of it, sir, in a rendered 3D with the
Okay.
connections. I'll share my screen.
When you build the blueprints, when you build your new coils for the health, you have to follow this way of connection, not the way you use for energy or space. Even the space needs to be changed slightly to this connection as it gets adjusted. Because in this way, you create a specific direction where the fields really move from up, but they get interacted through gravitational fields from the bottom. This is the new connection which we advise for the health units to be done. This what it does. If you look in the center, creates a plasma in the center of this system. So if you keep it there, can I come in with the drawing?
Okay,
In
sir.
here, in this space, let me just increase my pen. In this space, you create a plasma. This is what we are doing. This is what we are trying to achieve. To creation of a plasma through this center point, where I'm trying to find a ticker line. Where do you find the plasma here? This is where we are looking to create a plasma. And this plasma will have the fields entering from the bottom and leaving from the top. Do not look at the structure of these copper windings or anything else. So these are just a, a decoy, is a diversion, but we need these to lead to the creation of this plasma. This is our ultimate goal, and this is what we need to consider. In so many ways, excuse me, can can you get that, please? In so many ways, if you look at it, we sit in the interaction of the fields of the plasma in a way where we can use it. Exactly the same as the plasma of the man, in the body of the man, of your amino acid. So this ball of plasma here is all our concern. The rest is, in a way, a process to create this plasma and hold it. Whatever we do, we change the fields in any of these two coils, we change any of the fields in this coil, is all to affect the delivery of the strength in this plasma in the middle. What is this? So what is important is to see when this plasma is created in the center, what field it makes in totality around the body of the plasma. Because the strength of this field, in effect, it becomes a sphere in this body. And then by changing any of the fields in this or this, then this too dictate the condition which we see would expand beyond. You control the strength of this field by changes in gravitational or magnetical field processes in these. When you see the total blueprint of what we are talking about, what we're going to show, then you understand what it means. So the plasma goes beyond the boundary. This is important even for the spaceship program which Ali is working on. We told you how to turn the 90 degrees, the coils, but if you can create such a correction that the fields are not connected directly in the same point, where the field as, can you reduce the size of your picture slightly please, Renan, that we can see the full coil? We don't see the upper part of the coil, just a slight, yeah, thank you very much. A little bit more, smaller. So what happens is that not only the fields, thank you very much, not only the fields will go across, then you will understand the whole structure will go in a very clean way in this manner, where the fields now will go this way. As the field expands beyond, some of the fields through the connection will come back to the bottom and goes to the top. So you get your feedback internally and externally. And this plasma will continuously update itself this way. These connections are the connections we've seen which used by Armand introduced with the coil of connections. So if you twist this, turn it in a different angle, if you can see it please. Just turn it and it's in base here. Rotate it the other way backwards, away from us. Well, that's good, no problem. You see that plasma always stays. If you rotate it, you see that plasma stays always inside, and you can increase and decrease the field. Not only you can increase and decrease the field strength, but you can change the strength or the gravitational or the magnetical to create the condition of the plasma inside of different elements. So these coils become the replication plasma of any elements which you like, be it iron, be it cancer cell, be it of, let's say in the body you have too much water in the lung, you can produce gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the water when you transfer the energy from the mucus in the lung, and you can withdraw it without even interfering. So what you'll see is the introduction of the new positioning. When you make such a thing and then you connect such a thing to another system, which is, for example, here, can we show a double of these together next to each other, please, Brendan? Can you duplicate this and put two of them next to each other or with a space?
Give me a minute, sir. I will copy that to make it two.
Okay. So what happens in this process, the plasma itself, that it opens up and it closes. Now we have the capability to control the size of plasma. We have capability to control the strength of the plasma. Now go back into your understanding of the pen which we were just talking about. The field interaction, now this time the coil and a cup of water. You put a body of man in between two coils. The energy was transferred of the information into the water that the man drank. Now the bottle of water comes between the coil plasma itself. What this means, it means now we can put the body of the man in between the two coils, which is configured in this way. What do you do? Now you have to build a process where the whole information can be controlled in the coil which shows the plasma. The reason these systems work effectively is because now the body of the man is made of GANs, is in a plasmatic condition, and these plasmas are of the matching. Now you see exactly what we're talking about. Can you separate the two slightly and turn it 90 degrees or a slightly different way that we see them but are directly in between? Now just turn it a little bit the other way, 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 where we see the gap between the two, please. Yep, bit more, bit more. Yeah, okay. Now, if you move the two, can you increase the distance between the two, please? Yep, a little bit more. Okay. Now you understand here, if we create a plasma of, if we create a plasma of, let's say, cancer here, I'm going to choose a thicker line that you can see. If we choose the plasma of a cancer here, could be anything. Cancer of lung, cancer of lymph, cancer of anything. And then we create a matching one of a slightly different strength here in this one. Then what is going to give us? In fact, what we're going to get is transformation of the plasma across the body of the man. If we place a man here now and position him in the right place, in transferring energy from one side to another, which is the balanced energy, you'll find out within seconds the cancer is reversible. But you need to create a condition of flow. What you need to do is to place a plasmatic battery on this side, which connects to. And then what you need is to connect this side to a source which can be drained or plasma can dip into. You use a plasma battery on this end. You use salt on this end. Salt water is one of the best absorbers of transfer of the energy from body of the man. So when you put a man in this condition, you can be anywhere. You can even increase to put the head of the man in between the system. Now you see a new development. You can produce this at home, less than $50. This is the beauty of this, what we call blueprint teachings. We want you, we ask you to replicate it and report back. We're going to show you real systems. This is one system. You put the body of the man, there is a tumor in the middle, let's say in the lung or in the stomach, and in that process, you'll find out you change the whole plasma of the whole environment here. So, with this process, secondary cancer is impossibility because now you're covering the totality of the body of the man. It cannot appear somewhere else. It cannot go because now you bring balance in respect to the whole body of the man in every aspect. So secondary cancer is impossibility. But you've got to understand it's the same thing with the viruses. If you have viruses and you can create the balance energy of the virus in the tool, that you can create what I call Marco's favorite word, a gradient, you will find out in that process, as long as the body of the man can be considered as a point of transfer and the gradient, you'll find out you can handle most of the diseases. For a body of man in a simple direct condition, this becomes handy. But body of the man is long, you got from your chest, your head, your brain. What you can do, I try to put this on the memory. I cannot remember it. Can we go to the structure of the drawings on the sixth set, please, Brendan? Can you rotate it that we can see it? I've got a lot of drawing on mine. I'm trying to clean it. Can I clean it? Okay, you cleaned it for me. Thank you very much. Oh, it's there back there again. Can you take it off? You have to clean the board of my writings. Can you take the drawings off? Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, can you rotate this 90 degrees that we can see the gap between the two? Yeah, thank you very much. A little bit more. Just with an angle that we can see the plates. You see here is where you can place the body of the man. His shoulders to his stomach, and that's his head, and that's his legs. Can you turn it a little bit, please? That we can see the systems, the coils. So what you see is what we shown, the coils were individual coils. Now we have six set of coils. The reason for the six coils in this combination is that you have the right side and you have the left side. So for example, if you want to process only cancer in, let's say, bladder, you choose this spot and this. So you need only to use four of the systems. If you have a cancer of lung, you need to use these two on the top and these two. Now, this process gives you a combination control where this system, for example, is connected to a plasmatic battery, and this system is connected to a drainage that it creates a condition. But we can expand this further. Can we bring the helmet unit into play on the top where the head is by any chance, Brendan?
The 3D of the helmet is not yet ready, so we can show the actual helmet.
Pardon?
We can show the actual helmet.
I can't hear you.
We can show the actual helmet.
The actual helmet. Okay. So we stop for that actual helmet. Let us go to more teaching, the more teaching. If you can clean up the board, please, and everything else, let us speak to it before we go to it. Okay. Now, can you open the space between the two that we can get into it? Or I can use the side of the platform to draw. What we can do now is if we can make a helmet which fits into the body of the man, where we put the helmet over the head, and then in the helmet we create the same kind of things, where in the helmet we can place the same coils. Now we have the two coils which you see here, which have the 6 coils on them, and you have the coils on this side with a 6 on them. Now you can see the power of the technology if you understand it. If you take the body of the man and split it in half, let's say you have cancer, or let's say you have disability in left hand on the left finger. To me, this is the left and this is the right. All I need to do, I need to choose this one in conjunction with a finger, let's say, using this part of the system. You connect the brain back to the system through the helmet and to the body unit. You allow the brain internally to build its own link, and what you will see is the end of paralysis. You can grow nerves this way. You can reconnect disconnected nerves. You can do, for example, if the right arm is paralyzed, use the same system and use the upper arm section of the coil on the helmet. So you can reverse and repair. You can literally change anything in the body of the man. It's the first time man has control over replication and control. This, what you see, I have done for years, and it works. Those of you who receive the units and you can walk, those children who have been autistic or born with a lack of oxygen, we can grow the brain in that way. We were limited up to now to magnets. Now with this technology, we are not limited. We can replicate that children who are handicapped, people who have a stroke and get damage in the brain, we can help to reprocess the growth of the brain back in its normality. If, for example, you receive energy pack in a space where it causes what you call the virus of whatever you like it, you can create a system energy pattern that you can drain the system out of the energy, and there is no virus. Death in a space through this technology is impossibilities unless you die by accident. But remember, if you go on the other side of the board, use the same helmet, use the same unit, use the body of the man, you can feed the man through the same process what he needs. And from the other side, you can take whatever it does not need. You can feed its lungs with the energy which is needed for its brain, and you can do the same, taking what is not needed. So you can walk into these systems, reverse the process of any disease, and you can walk through the systems every few hours and feed yourself. Dr. Parviz and I, we have tested a single version of these. and the gentleman with the rectum cancer had a pain in the stomach, and instantaneously the pain disappears. But you remember in all the teachings in the past what we said, the reversal is more painful because a lot of things have to be reversed. So what you see now is a crude but one of the first universal system for any disease. You can have this at home. You go hungry, you go through it. You have a cancer, you go through it. You have a child who has disability, you can still do something with it. This is the blueprint who will change a lot of things in the world of medicine, and pharmaceuticals have no control over. You can put one of these units in any village connected to a plasma battery, and the whole village can be fed. You have viruses, you just pass people pass them through it. It can change because it's tuned to that virus to dilute it. In so many ways, you can make the shape of the man and place as many of these coils as you like to cover the whole body of the man, and you can control everything with it. Brennan, would you like to show us the physical structure you built?
Okay, sir, we will share screen for the app device.
There we are. This is, can you go closer that we can see? This is literally the system built in matter of what? Less than 4 or 5 days. You're in the innovation center of the Cash Foundation in Philippines. Very small accommodation, but a lot of new knowledge coming out of this place. Can you show us the totality, please? Those panels has been put on that you don't come in touch with the gas. Can we have one of your very nice people in there to go in between? Who would like to volunteer? We might zoom you into space.
Yes, sir, it's coming.
So this is how, the other way, turn 90 degrees and just close the two gaps. You have to be touching both sides. Then you will see that's all is needed. It reaches every dynamic. You can adjust it and it can reach any position in the body of the man. Balance fields, no secondary cancer. And if he's hungry man, he'll be fed the same.
So, Mr. Kesh, would it be true there's no focusing ray as such? It's just a field, balancing field that's similar through the whole part? Would you?
Yeah,
You wouldn't focus on a particular area. You just do the whole area.
that's
That's
correct.
correct.
You
You
do
do
the
the
whole
whole area.
area, it's the full plasmatic. Now you see the helmet, if you like, if you can fit the man with the helmet. Can we see the helmet first, please? If you can show a close up. This is the same coil system set up in the material used for helmets. This is type of helmets are made for nearly 15 years, and we see the changes. When we say people who couldn't talk, they can talk, this is how you control. You need this combination of the six, the top on the left and the right. So each one controls one side of the brain. Because it's plasmatic, you cannot do any harm because the brain takes only what it needs from it. In every cup, there is one 90 degrees separation, the way as we saw in the drawings. In so many ways, when you place this on the head, would you like to let the gentleman to wear it? Who is under the cap?
Randy, sir, Randy, part of the team.
Thank you very much. All the people you see working there, helping out and making this, are part of the Keshe Foundation Innovation team. So this is where your donations goes, to pay people to live a comfortable life, to produce the systems for you. That's why we say we need donations to be able to produce the next step of these machines that can be mass produced, or come to an agreement with the companies that can mass produce it. But it's got to be Keshe Foundation companies. So what you see now, whatever, don't connect him. He's got no problem. Uh, huh? Yeah, they're connecting him up. He's always got a smiling face. So what you see is the helmet in both directions. Now you can control any part of the body from any disease. But don't forget, 90% of the disease of the man, especially in cancer and the rest, comes from emotional. So these plasmas, because they have, and we can control different elements to them, we can control the emotion that the people really reject the disease through their emotional part. And you dilute everything, and there is no way for it to come back because you elevate the soul of the man and the emotion of the man. Are there any questions up to now before we go to the next one? Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks for you standing in there. Can we look at your helmet? Don't wear it and go for a ride.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Anytime.
Thank you very much. Is uh, um, is Renan there?
I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Okay. Can we see this in the schematic?
Yeah, the 2D drawings.
Someone asked, are there no GANs balls in these coils?
No. The only nano-coated and the coils are in the GANs of the CO2.
And the coils on the helmet, are they single coils or the double magnetic
Double
plus
coils.
grav?
Everything is double from
Okay.
now on, because you have to produce both gravitational and magnetic at the same time. This way, it allows you to create the condition you need. And as we showed, the connection is different than before. That is directly in.
There's a question. Should the coils be placed? Sorry.
Pardon? Carry on, Rick.
Should the coils be placed near the regions of the brain that need to be developed in the case of autism?
This, the way we built the system for the helmet, you needed the. Can we have the head configuration if you have it, please? This, the configuration which is set here, you need it. Has to be this way. All you need is to which one you energize more. You can choose, for example, energizing this. I'm going to go, just wait 1 second, please. You can energize and this one to create a condition in this region. But you got to remember, brain doesn't work just on that region. It takes a blueprint on the same side too. You can create by separation of the two helmets. You see on this side is separated. If, for example, you lost the control of the right hand and you can control these reactors the right way, you teach it from the left to the right. You transfer the information and you'll find out it becomes a blueprint. The man will walk and talk in no time.
So it seems like it might have to stimulate the opposite side of the brain than the part that's
You don't
damaged in a
stimulate,
way.
you copy transfer energy.
Okay, right.
The energy transfer is across. You create the same gradient type, one to the other, and it flows across. We've done this with coma patients. No one more or less should die of coma. If you understand, these helmets is what I've built for years. I know exactly how they work. But now for the first time, we have the flexibility of control of the field strength and everything else. The condition of these coils. If Brennan, can you put this uh, helmet somehow on top of the body unit, the sixes, somewhere in between the two? No, no, not that one. No, 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 no. The helmet, yeah, yes. Place it somewhere. Can we have a picture of the helmet somewhere on the top between these two? You need to do it. Yeah. Have you? When you finish, let me know. Then I'll come in. You can, yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Okay. So now, let's say you have a problem with a prostate cancer, or you have a problem with a breast cancer. In the present health conditions, they operate on the prostate, which is somewhere here. I can put the neck. Sorry, I have to make a drawing here. You put a neck into it here. You put the body of the man here. You have the breasts, and you have a prostate here. These cancers are psychosomatic. They're created through emotion. Because you're creating a plasma condition with CO2 here and here and here and here, and you can control it that the plasma, for example, sits here and here for the prostate, and somewhere here and here for the breast cancer to match the two. You change the gravitational magnetic field flow from here to here. And with it, because of the choice of the right choice of the field strength, you'll find out the cancer dissolves. You should be able to watch the reduction in cancer over a period of 2 to 3 weeks. You can never go for a change of cancer immensely because what is produced, the body has to get used to as well. You cannot rush in one go. So you take your time, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes through the same process. Not only the plasma changes, but the emotion in the brain changes too. You can do the same with the prostate. You can do with any cancer. Cancer, majority of the time, is conditioned to the physical part of the body of the man. With the lung, you can do the same. You can support energy through here and here, that it can support the heart in the center to have a rest, but receives energy to give to the blood for the emotional side of the body of the man to exist, till, because there is no pressure on it, to repair itself. You can do the same, use the collective energy and do the same with the lung of a man. All these systems have been tested and it works. So if you have a disease, You have to find the position of it in the brain and then connection of it with the physical part of the body of the man. Simply through the system, because you have connected it, you connect directly. You got to remember is the potential difference which counts and not the current in so many ways. So you can have all your system connected in parallel or series depending how you want to do it, what you're expecting of it. Total cost of this system, I don't know. How much did it cost to make it, Brennan? Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat that again, sir?
How much does it cost? How much did it cost you to build the full system?
Estimated this system cost about a 1,200 euro for this one, sir. 200 euro including the helmet and the metal cases and the flex case. About 200 euros, sir.
Now you can see how much the pharmaceuticals have gone down the drain. You can feed yourself. You can replace, change the plasma, create a condition, place on this side or this side, energy source, a plasmatic energy source. Can you show us the plasmatic system you use?
The for what, sir? Video. Bernie will share the video.
Can we see Vernie? We never seen him. Can you see his beautiful face? We always hear his voice.
Bernie is
Ah,
yeah,
is he camera shy?
yeah, it's camera shy. I'll show the system, sir. Bernie will share the picture, the video again. This one? That one.
Okay. This is on the back. You can see the energy systems they put on. Can you show it, please? Each coil has got its own energy system that is energized independently. Then you can control the flow. You can control if it is certain energies you expect from it, and it gets controlled back directly internally. You can bring the proximity of these coils closer to each other. You can use a single stack of coil, very much like uh, all the ones in one line or in one column for a specific use. Fantastic. There we are. Now we see this one. This system is a single unit system with the energy systems behind it, and it has a drainage system on the other side, where you can put, for example, on a position of, let's say, a finger which is damaged, you want to regrow it, cancer in a given condition, you have its energies you can control in the back. But putting the two coils opposite to each other does not give you the result. You have to create an energy transfer. And here we see that using a copper coil, it's got to be nano coated. Everything in this structure has to be nano coated, that you only work in a plasma condition. This is the way into the future of eradicating all diseases, eradicating all the problems which sits with the operation of the world at this moment. Be careful you don't wear any gold ring with you because it can cause yourself a lot of problem. Yeah, so all the energy. He was wearing a ring. Now, yes, now you've seen a single unit. We have tested another version of this single unit a few weeks ago, and I've tested this about past 10 years without people knowing. Those people who've been with the Keshe Foundation, different processes, they have seen how they've had a pad in the front and a pad in the back, and they sit and they see the changes. This is how it works. This is a very basic system of being able to do something. Now, very interesting point with this is that if you connect, let's say, the energy side with the non-energy side, or a receiving end with a supplying end of the energy, and connect the wire connection on the receiving energy side to a pen. We have this somewhere, I think, Renan. It's on the biggest structure, or is it here? On the biggest structure. So if you connect the energy, the output of the receiving end, or on the supplying end, if you want to do it from another coil, can we go to the drawings of the 6 units, please? So what you can do, if this is a supplying side, I'm going to change to bigger one. Sorry about that. I need you to go up. If this is the supplying side where the energy comes from, and this side is the receiving plate, and now you have the body of the man here, and this is his heart, and this is the heart valve. If you bring the pen in a direct position where the heart is, where the valve is, and point it out in the right strength, and even use 3 pins, and these 3 pins can cover the area of the heart, you can literally reconstruct the whole valve, because the body knows what is received, is aware of, and the plasmatic condition of the valve, and in getting supply, it feeds back itself, and in the feeding back, you can pinpoint accuracy, reconstruct everything in a way you give it enough energy that the body replicates itself in a very fast way. But at the same time, you need a connection to the brain, which is responsible for that operation of the heart. So what you're doing, in fact, you're doing the job of the lymph, you're doing the job of the blood, and you're doing the job of the neural system. But this time, you're controlling everything in that specific area. If you change the position in a slightly different, and you have, let's say, a tumor in the stomach and nowhere else, you can do the same thing by saturating very slowly, and the tumor over time disappears. The whole game of working, applying the technology without any intrusive, and you can do it at home. It's just understanding it in a full detail. These blueprints are the guideline. It's you who has to decide how and the way you want to produce it and use it. You can use and create a condition where you create and control the whole atmosphere of the body. In a space, you walk into the zone where you pick up energy which can behave, let's say, like AIDS or HIV virus. You change the environment of the whole section of the body. You walk away without any. AIDS virus and other viruses we know on this planet are just a toy compared to what the man will come across in the space from the virus point of view. Energy transfer, which locks into the amino acid chain. This is one of the reasons why the present time medicine cannot find solutions so easily for viruses, because they never understood A virus is an energy pack attached itself to a microbe, to amino acid. What it does, it creates a plasma around it which is locked into it. Now, with being able to create the copy of the energy of the virus, what we call the additional plasma, you remove it, and what happens? What you have is literally amino acid left behind. You empty, in a way, the sac. In so many ways, if we go back to the single drawing, can we go back to the pictures, the units you had on the table, please?
Okay, sir.
Second visit, very good. It says the Iranian president is in Rome. A beautiful man. So, what do you call this? What you can do, where you have these two rings, you can place a cup of water. You can place a fruit. You can place anything and embed in it the plasma of a virus. And then that water becomes like a vaccine, antidote. Then you can drink it. You have to create a reverse plasma of it that, in a way, receiving it, it dissolves itself in the plasma of the energy of man. In a way, you can use the energy of the virus as a food if you know how to handle it. Does not need to be rejected. You can drink cups of water or any liquid or anything or yourself and reproduce the same entity. Somebody is very busy drinking in there. In that process, you can create whatever you need as the plasma in the matter states of the plasma that in the body of the man changes into the plasma in the lymph of the body. You can embed the code directly in between the two. So, any of you who have people who are working to eradicate cancer for your father, your brother, your wife, or your husband, or your children, build one of these and test it. Do not connect it to electricity. You have to build yourself a plasma battery that you create a plasma which is made on the process of yours. Can we show the drawing of the plasma battery which you've done, please? Caroline is reminding me. Please remind them that if you have any, what do you call it, pacemaker or the other things, be careful. Any metal implants. So this, you see, this is the system which we saw, what we call combination battery capacitor, which was developed by Alex. We use this because now you can do a lot of things with this as a power source. You can nanocode P1 or P2 or P3 or all of them to be connected as you choose, or A1, A2, with anything of the foods you might need, that a continuous base energy for a specific job is fed through the plasma. So when you take the plasma of, let's say, um, the problem is, let's say, with the infection or with a virus, you nanocoat that with a specific virus energy. Or if you want the energy of an apple, you can do the same, because now the coils deliver the energy into the body as you eat an apple. Can we look at the feeding pipe, please?
The one will be the feeding pipe, sir. The connection.
Yes, the coil itself, because you already made it.
Okay.
Can you explain to us what we're looking at, please?
So this is the capacitor, battery capacitor, and we can put guns over it if we want to have the to feed it with a certain energy by just putting rings here in the positive side. So you can have many of ring guns there, and this will be utilized connecting the one side of the Magrab health unit. So so the energy of the Gans ring will influence the flow of plasma passing to this end. So this is T3.
So what this
So
means is that um, on each ring you can put what you want: apple,
yeah,
banana, and
composite gun.
pardon.
The fruit guns, composite gun sets on
Composite
the
gun. And as the plasma crosses the energy line to the one stacker or the other, will carry the information of the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the apple, and is as you receive the energy, which is not the apple which you need, is the energy which the apple creates that is needed by part of the body of the man. So in the space we do not need to carry. We can replace these rings with another combination coil on top of it. In a way, do you have a free maglev unit ring? In so many ways now, you need one ring to produce whatever energy you want to be carried to the body. These things in next few weeks we will see you delivering. You will tell us what you've done with it and how it's progressing. Now you understand how, if you can control this, the star formation unit, one star formation unit can be used for any kind of application. While you're creating, maintaining plasma, you can change to maintain food, energy, and in a way you can send all the passengers of the plane at the same time together to toilets if you like it, because you drain that given energy from them. And you can feed them all with the energy of a banana at the same time. The ones who like banana, they will take the energy of the banana. The ones who do not need it, they do not do, because it's like we're walking in the sun. We don't absorb all the energies which the sun produces. We will release very detailed drawings of this into the manufacturing side and the blueprint for development by you, and in you letting us know what you can do.
That's beautiful, Renan. And is it enclosed with like glue or something to keep the inside moist so
We
that
don't need
it doesn't
moisture.
out?
We
What
don't
was
need,
that?
we don't need moistures.
Okay.
that's only because we just recently nano coated the tube, so it's absorbing the moisture in the air, so it's still not yet dry. It's raining here, and also it's raining here, so the moistures are sticking on the nano coated tubes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So dry GANs would work just as well then.
Okay, yeah. Robert, would you like to come in, because now with you we can start a discussion in a different way.
Okay, certainly. Whatever you need.
Okay. Now You explained that you are using the coil on one side and the pen on the other.
Yes, that's correct.
Now you've seen how it can be used for the medical application, the same concept.
Yes, your system seems to be much more powerful than mine, um, of course, but yes, mine works and it has been working very well. One thing I forgot to mention is I set the base of it. It's sitting on like a nano coated coil. I set that on a mixture of earth and mycenia. It's like a plant which absorbs water and so forth. I figured that that would kind of be a grounding point for it.
What is interesting you can do is that if you create this, these units can be used effectively for burns. When you have accidents with the first, second, or degree burns, if you understand what you explain with the coils and with a pen, and you put a CO2, what they call it, tissue package on the skin, you create the three layer which is needed for the skin to repair. So you make the system and the body follows. That's why these systems will be very effective in burn units. You can literally people coming into first degree or second degree or third degree burn into the hospital, and within days they can walk out as they never had any burns on their body.
That's incredible.
You can test it. In a way, Benjamin has tested part of this without him knowing in Africa with some patients. We've seen that with all sorts of conditions, skin conditions can be eradicated. These systems are perfect if you understand it with a helmet and with a body unit for people who have cirrhosis, that have the skin defects. If you only control the CO2 and connect, can we go into the frame, standing frame, please, with the helmet?
Okay, sir.
The Just to mention, the one thing that I had the most luck with was using CO2 GANs and copper GANs, and it healed an infection on a friend's hand.
Yes,
I did it twice over 2 days, and it was
the
sorry.
copper. Sorry, the copper we explained it works with the physical part, the red meat, and the CO2 does with the emotion of it. When you take the emotion away and you see support, physicality repairs itself very fast. Understand the principle behind it, not don't be amused. If you put the helmet here, please. Where is the unit you had with the helmet on, please? Here, the picture you had.
We right now, sir. There's no 3D of the helmet. I'll just go back to the 2D.
No problem. That's perfect.
One other thing that I didn't mention was the inside coils of my system are aluminum wire, and the outside are copper wire. And so I don't know if that helped. I mean, I'm sure it can't hurt.
No, it doesn't make, but you made the magnetical more effective than gravitational.
Right. Yeah. I figured the silver. I learned from Mike that the silver colored wires are more giving, and that the darker ones, when they're nano coated, take better. And so I went into that as just a sample.
What you will see is, for example, if I can go on this one, if you connect the section of the lung in the brain in the same field strength as the lung, especially with the young people or people who suffer from asthma, They walk away within minutes and you never see them coughing again in their life. Because by going through the system and being nano-coated with CO2, especially on a battery charge on the feeding side, you create the gravitational magnetic field of the CO2 and the zinc combination. You feed the emotion of the person. Asthma is emotion connected. And this will literally reverse because you satisfy the emotion, the lungs are the confirmation of it, and you see people walk away without any asthma or any, what do you call it? I can never get the name. It's the skin problem, psoriasis. Because the psoriasis is the same as the asthma, which is transferred itself to the skin of the man. Emotions which cannot be hidden. Don't touch me, I'm hurt, but I want to show you how I'm hurt. So you find a CO2 combination system with the helmet and the lung, which is the upper part, will help with these two diseases very rapid, these conditions very rapid. If you have a condition like, let's say, Alzheimer's, you don't need a body part, you only need the helmet. You satisfy the emotion of the man. He will remember everything. You have people with Parkinson. You connect the condition on the side to the arm. You take one part of the unit and you put the arm of the man here and you connect it to the other side. You make a transfer from this side to that side, that a copy perfect size copies on the damaged side of producing, and this feeds the side. Brain stroke, brain hemorrhage, the same process. Don't connect the cores on one side, or if you connect, you got to do it in a way that it feeds and then is controlled by the same. Any of you can produce this and walk away with worst ever nightmare of man. With this, what's on the screen, in time when you all develop this, no man should die of any diseases on this planet. No man should die of any hunger on this planet. But this is made for a space. This is what you call decontamination unit, the feeding unit, and everything else you need. You can make it very small, make it as small as 3. It has to be matching. In every way, it has to be a matching, and whatever you match here, you have to match there. You see, there are 6 units here, and as you see, there are 6 units on either side of the helmet. The process is very simple. If you understand this, it should be very easy to eradicate diseases, viruses. You want something in a way you can add to it or take away as you wish, now that you control the plasma inside every single one. It will take another 3 months, 6 months for you to completely understand and copy this, and a lot of you will do. Those of you who are doctors in the world of medicine and you're testing it, test it yourself. You can walk people through this and you see them walking away without any disease. They come in on one side dying of a virus and walk out the other side with nothing, because you balance the situation. You create a field flow between the two that the body of the man in middle will take it, because it's in the same condition, the same plasma condition. Are there any questions?
Hi, Mr. Kesh.
Yes.
The transport unit that we talked about in last teachings, this would have the same effect for healing and balancing, would it not?
In a way, no, and in a way, yes. You have no control over that because it creates a spherical everything under it. And then you find out somebody who hasn't got a cancer, you cannot compete with the one who has. This is an individual system for the condition, every condition you have. That creates a balanced environment within the structure of the system. I referred to this structure as you see it 2-3 weeks ago in one of the teachings when I explained that you can walk through a system and you can adjust it.
Okay, thank you.
But what it is, you have to understand the way the coils are produced is different than the way you connected the coils up to now.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
I was wondering if anybody of the panelists have any live questions to ask. Several people have their hands up to get in as a panelist, so I'm wondering if there's a live question there.
Thanks, Rick. Hey, your mic sounds good tonight. It was interfering with a lot of white noise, that shh before, but it's real nice tonight. I'm glad it's back to normal. Yes, I've got an important question. My mom's been suffering from emphysema. She's on an oxygen machine 24 hours a day, and normally that sort of thing is terminal. You're on that machine for about 5 years and then you die. And I seem to. The problem is probably mostly that she can't get rid of the CO2. And I was wondering if you had any suggestions for me, Mr. Kesh. This is Dave in St. Louis. You know me.
The way to do it, Shannon, can we go back on the system of the breathing you made?
The video there.
You made a system for breathing from the system?
Yes, sir. The stroke.
Yeah.
I'll show the video here.
What's your name?
Can you explain to us how you made it and what it is? Hello? Renan?
Forget to unmute. Yes, the straw. We just this is a double core copper foils inside, and I just wrap it around with a nano-coated plastic tube, and there is also a plastic tube inside the coil and the double core coil going on top on the orange area, which is where you will breathe. So you breathe here. So this is not nano coated. The orange, the green colored tube is the clean tube. That's not nano coated. So you can breathe in, breathe out your air inside there, and you can suck it in or inhale it again to have energized air to have to energize the emotional part of the body, which is the brain, heart, and the lungs. So that's
the biggest problem with the lung, what do you call diseases, is to create a condition that the lung can absorb the energy it needs for the blood, that the lung tissues get the rest. They can step down. And in stepping down, they repair themselves because somebody else is doing the work. So by using these systems, which you got to make sure that no air which ever comes in touch with the nano layer. So your tube has to be over a tube, your winding has to be over a tube that goes through the center of the double coil. That you never breathe in the air which has touched the what do you call it, the GANS material or the nano coated material. So the center tube is made. I usually use for this what is known as a 4 millimeter, 6 millimeter tubes. They use in hospitals. They use them in the labs. So the 6 millimeter, your winding goes over this 6 millimeter tube. And people who have been with the Keshe Foundation processing, they've seen this. We use it quite a lot. So the air you breathe goes over the coil, and it never touches the material, the GANs or the nanomaterial. And when you breathe it, you breathe a very perfectly plasmatic energized. When it gets to the lung takes from the plasma what it needs. Then consequently, the lung tissues do not need to work. That's the one you can see it the way they change. This is what I've used for years, and it works 100% for all the lung diseases. We process, we do not cure, but then the body finds its own process. On the other hand, you can connect this coil where you had the pen coming from the system. So the body finds its balance and feeds back to itself. You can breathe through it. You find the process very rapidly in converting as per the conditions and systems what you're talking about.
Can someone please turn off their other mic? It's interfering with Kesha's conversation.
So what you see, this tools I have used a long time. People have seen we use the. We are not in Italy to show now. You all know we are in Dubai. We are here to set up the world government in Dubai. But it is in Valletta in the tools we are carrying. So you use a 4 millimeter pipes and you use the center coil as a way to transfer the energy. You have both two coils on top of each other. And then, can we go back to the frame we just had before? If I can go back to it, please, Renan, with a double flame we could write on.
I just want to emphasize that Mr. Kesh said that you breathe through the inner pipe and the coils are wrapped around the outside of it, and then there's one more pipe on the outside of that. That way you make sure you won't breathe in any particles. You're only breathing in as...
Correct. So what happened? I'm going to draw. Who's speaking? Is that Mike Nasser?
This is Dave Muckerman from St. Louis, Mr. Kesh.
Hi, Dave. Perfect for adding to the knowledge. So what happened here, what you do is when you take this and you breathe it, you carry the energy information, what is wrong, correct it, balanced up, and referred back to. It's the same process as if you remember in your coils as a feedback coil. This breathing of the air feedbacks, it changes, upgrades itself, and it goes back in and it comes back out again. We've seen in the case in Holland, a gentleman who was told he has a very few months left to live. You're going, Babuja. Have a nice time. See you later. So what you see is, what we've seen is that the gentleman was involved in a car crash. The seat belt created the solidification of blood, coagulating, and this blood went into and got stuck on the veins of the lung. And this blockage was creating inflammation and more blockages, and the lung was gradually starving of blood circulation and death. They gave him 6 months or so. What we did, I used a very similar system, and we saw, because we gave a rest to the lung, we managed to change the structure, and we managed to get the gentleman that could measure it. The blockage over time reduced, did not expand, and the gentleman went and bought a house in Caribbean or somewhere, because at that moment he was not hoping to live, so he had no use to do anything. This is the way you do the working with a pen. You do the way with the pipe, with the breathing. The information comes when you take it. It was like the pen. You feed back what it needs to be done. These pens and these pipes are the feedback, because continuous energy comes, corrected, you add to it, it corrected, it balances itself. Don't forget, you're taking gravitational magnetical. If it's not needed, it's given. If it's needed, it's taken. You can do with any disease. There is no need for open heart surgery anymore if people understand how these things work. You can put a unit or a small unit with 4 or 6 cores on top of the heart, one in the back, one in the front, with 2 contact points from it on the heart. The energy which the heart needs to give to the blood to energize, to carry on with the life of the cells in the emotional part of the body of man is fed. The heart steps down in operation. It takes time, it heals itself, it repairs itself, and then you can take the unit away, then you see the change. Because it's a continuous feedback. So you can build a small unit and place it in the back and the front. You have a people who have a broken spinal cord. As long as it's cut, it's not washed, you can create a condition that in the plasma you can replace. You can create one of these coils. Can you give me a clean page, please? Can I share a screen?
Mr. Cash, I'll never forget a long time ago. I believe in a private you were on a I forget the lady's name, Lady Dragon or something, and you mentioned that the lung doesn't actually just dissolve oxygen in the bloodstream, but there's a plasma thing going on.
Yeah, that's
and
the process.
and I couldn't help to think about how unique that is. But in fact, the heart-lung machine does that. It actually does the same thing that the lung does and transfers the oxygen to the blood. However, probably not as good as the lung.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can do this very easily. If you can I get the screen to share? Can I have a screen share? I need a whiteboard. Oh, I could have shared my screen there. No, can you give me back my my screen? Because I can use it myself that way. I can use the option, doesn't matter. It's okay. Let's see what does it give me. Okay, I'm gonna share a screen. Take the first one. I go there. I want this. I want this. No, it doesn't allow me to share. No. Okay, give me the white screen. I can't get out of this one.
Okay. Oh, and also, can you mention what type of GANs would be best to put on those coils? for
CO2
the
only.
emphysema.
Lung has to use CO2. Nothing else. Never use copper oxide for CO2.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Okay, because lung is for the emotional part of the body of the man.
In fact, I thought the best thing for a emphysema patient would probably be to live in a room with a big tank of salt water and a big copper nano coated and in a zinc plate, so it's collecting the CO2 from the atmosphere. Am I correct?
Can you repeat that, please?
Well, Mr. Kesh, if we have a salt water bath and the nano coating and we're making CO2 GANs, wouldn't that the atmosphere that tank is in, wouldn't that be the best atmosphere for someone who needs to get more oxygen in their lungs?
Not the way I understand the work.
Well, in other words, I would think since it's synthesizing CO2, you know, molecules are solid particles. It would be absorbing CO2 from the air, and an oxidation.
The problem is that in a plasma condition we are not concerned with CO2. Do you understand? Hello.
I have to think about it.
In a plasma condition, Rick, somehow I cannot get hold of this process. Okay, I've got mine back. Okay, but I need to go here. This is a difficult one to get. What you got to remember is this. You have created a body of the man and you have created a machine. So you're feeding energy into the system. You're changing it and controlling it to the size of the plasma you want. And then you're transferring the energy to the other side, to another system. In this process, you do it through the physical structure, but the system goes through the plasma coding. Because here is always stronger. Here, the plasma goes through the body of the man, reduces some, and it gets to the side. So now you feed it back. When you feed it back, the energy is different, but it's a corrected energy for what is needed to feed back on. When you breathe, you do the same thing, but you create a condition. Most of the condition of the lung is emotional based. So you allow it in a way, you keep on topping it up till it receives more energy. As it continuously is receiving energy from here plus reference point. If you understand this, change the lung to the kidneys. You'll find out this system make a perfect dialysis machine without ever connecting to the blood of the man. Because you got to find out what is blocked in the kidney, which stops the change, which the change is always plasmatic, and then you find out the system itself starts working. So you tune into what energy which is blocking the process. You can regenerate because when you do this job, you allow the kidney self to regenerate in a way with no pressure. And then after a while, you can take the systems away. You can use this system in a very simple way in the FEMA, especially for the people who need a bone transplant. Depends where in the FEMA you place it. A part of the bone, you create a condition to energize the bone marrow. In the other part, you create a condition where you release a high strength bone marrow, and then the immune system is done. There is no need for stem cell. There is no need for open operation to create the right bone marrow when you see children are they need it or people need a bone marrow transplant. The bone marrow transplant, it means you don't have the right energy. Now with these systems, you're allowed to do that. You can energize the bone marrow to the level you like. Destruction of what do you call it, immune system is become literally impossible because you place this unit on the femur point, on the port of exit, and the other one on the point of the entry of the lymph. So you dictate how much the bone marrow is increasing power. We've seen this operation and it's been used. I use this quite heavily in the systems, and you see people with a problem with the immune system, they walk away after a few months because the body learns it, upgrades itself. You allow the system to be cleaned up, and then they go because the bone structure here is got clotted with something. With you energizing it, slowly reduce the size of this clot, the energy of it, and the bone marrow literally flows through the lymph.
I just wanted to say, you said femur. That means the leg bone, right?
Yes, the upper leg bone. Most of your T cells and B cells come from the femur because of its capacity and the size of the power it creates. It creates a huge pressure, which creates a plasmatic pressure.
And of course, we know how important the bone marrow is for creating red blood cells.
Everything you can control literally. Any diseases which are connected, the source of it sits with the bone, you can use these systems. Don't look at the huge size you see in the lab. They can be miniaturized.
And I just lost my father because he he was leaving church and he fell and he broke his thigh bone, and then they killed him in surgery, or he just had a stroke or something. And so we need
Maybe
to
that
make sure
was
we don't lose our calcium.
yeah, but maybe the soul had a call. The accident was just what do you call it, a step forward.
Well, he didn't want to keep living. He kept on telling me he's 89 years old and he doesn't believe why he's still alive. And like you said, people die because they want to, or they believe
Soul
they have
call.
to.
When the soul calls, you have to abide. Physicality follows. It finds a way. You can't strangle yourself, huh? So it finds a different way to reach where it's destined. So if you go back in the whole process, you can do the same thing by creating the helmets. You control the operation of the brain. Nobody can control your emotion. Doesn't matter what they do. Because remember, in the structure of the plasma, you only receive what you need, and the structure is preset in your information disk, which is the RNA, which is connected to your DNA. This is part of the structure which we have to understand. This is the way the system will work. If you want to have on Earth, we used to have banana. I wish I had a banana. It's the emotion of the banana. You can create the condition of the plasmatic condition of the banana, and the man will receive the energy of it in a feedback through the what I call your banana section, your feed of the energy. He will feel, he will taste, he'll go through the same emotion as he was having a banana. We've seen this with the people who tried the cup with the orange and the rest. Now we can control because today I don't want a banana. You can put as much banana ring as you like on my system. I will not touch. I might receive the energy, but I don't want the taste and the feel of it. And I don't have it. I don't create an emotion for it to get it. So this is important. This what we shown today will become the cornerstones of the health in the space and feeding. But the difference between this system and what we have at the present time, these systems feed both your emotion and physicality at the same time. Aspirin only tries to find a way to divert the energy for the time being. You don't cure the source, you don't reverse the source. These are both emotional and physical systems. And in that process, you can use it in any shape or form you need. Humanity has a big challenge. As I said at the beginning of this talk, now you have everything. Do we need organizations and people to tell us when we want a banana? Or do we take the charge of being correct because we have everything we need? I explained to you how much gold you can make. See if those of you who are in South America and Argentina and you got these huge rivers of mercury floating into the sea, convert it to the gold. You're all millionaires. All you need is little amount of magnetic gravitational field of mercury. You can all throw it in the sea and the sea will give you gold back because in the seawater there is tritium. There is everything else. I'm getting instructions from Her Majesty. I need to eat something. Yes, boss. So you understand how we change the course. We change the course from today. If any of you can make the pen, any of you can make the coil, you can literally feed yourself. And you will not get any diseases, you will not get any whatever will come from the red circles because they try to frighten you because now their bosses lost their income. They can't make you drug addicts, and they can't control your medicine, and now they can't control your food and health. So you are free people from today. And I wrote to my core team of the Keshe Foundation, a new beginning today, and we start fresh and new. Man is free from all shackles of physicality if they like to be. You put one of these systems anywhere in Africa, people just walk through it, they walk disease free, they walk with no hunger. This is how you'll be fed in a space. This is how you live in a space. Initially, in the first stages, we will feel as we need to eat because it's been a habit of the man for millions of years. And in a few weeks' time, you don't even like to eat because you won't even remember to eat because eating is not part of it. You just go through the system every few hours exactly what I give what I don't need, and the system gives what I need, and you find balance. This is what you do. You go to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Why do you go to the breakfast? To take what you need, and then you go to the toilet to give what you don't like. This is not needed anymore. Now you can do it through the process of universal system. We fulfill all the promises of the past, and we have completed the circle. Agriculture, not needed, because this way, do you need to grow? Do you need Monsanto to control you what you eat? Those of you who opposes to be fed what you like, what do you call it, naturally grown food, which is more actually chemically controlled than natural. What do you call it, biofood? Now you can create your own bioenergy, and according to what you need from the environment of the universe. The control of humanity is over. But you have to understand, with giving this, we take back peace and universal community.
Marianne, I have a question for you. How would
Yeah.
one remove the fluoride from the water that we're forced to drink?
Very easy. Very, very easy. Would you like to add some copper oxide to it? Or would you like to add a bar of nano-coated copper to it? Or would you like to put a system very much like here that you pass the water through it and you create the condition that the fluoride is more or less energetically removed?
Are you saying that one would just need to carefully nano coat some copper and then run the water across the surface of this nano coated copper.
In a way, as long as the salt in the water does not dilute the copper oxide into a gas, but then you can use it, still use it.
Wonderful. That's great.
You're quite welcome. Test it and let us know.
That's right. I recall that that's a great way to purify water,
Check, check.
among other toxins.
The way to do it is the way we discussed. In a coming week, we'll have what we call agricultural green, what do you call it, blueprint, and part of it will be this way. These things which we're going to teach you how to do it. Fluoride now is added and is in then receiving so much of it, the body has to change its operation, and it creates other diseases. That's what I said. Even in the toothpaste, do not use a toothpaste, just use water and salt. And if you use, some people use what do you call it, carbonate. That changes it not only cleans up your teeth, it brightens it. And going to your stomach reverses any cancer condition too.
I was told that the fluoride collects in your pineal gland, which is about it's a tiny little gland that looks like a pine cone, correct?
Yeah. But the thing is, how much of it do you accept? How big is it, and how much fluoride is going to capture? It's the energy of it which does. But we have to see this process. You now that the knowledge is free, it's for you lot to test and report back in testimonials.
I would like to add that anyone that's taking antidepressants, most likely they contain a lot of fluoride, which is just clogging up your pineal gland.
Let me give you a very beautiful news for those of you who would like to, what do you call it, to
detoxify?
No. There are a lot of people who like to have children, and we find that the wife cannot get pregnant. You have the system, and you know how the system is set up. Emotionally satisfy the need of reproduction. You'll be pregnant in no time. All you need to do to use a CO2 that allows the womb of the woman to accept the condition with the brain to reproduce. Any of you who has been problem with getting yourself pregnant and you want a child so desperately, try one of these systems. You'll have one. It's not a test tube, you have 6 or 7 of the twins. I've got Dr. Parvis sitting next to me in his laps. Because you feed the emotion. Most of the time, suddenly people don't have any children and then they get pregnant because the emotion condition of the creation of the soul is not accepted by the body of the man, because the emotion in the emotional part of the brain is not ready to accept the responsibility, even though it doesn't matter how much they like to have a child. Those of you who live in Holland and you've been reporting the return of menstruations after a long period of menopause, now you will laugh your head off to the hospitals. As I always said to my volunteers, I hope grandpas don't become mamas and papas, because with this is possible. Now we found security in everything, that there is a continuity in the food supply and security in life. You will find once we start using these systems, The reproduction cycle of the woman will go into hundreds of years, whenever they want. And because it's done by the consent of the emotion, you'll find handicapped children would not exist. Very interesting, because the emotion corrects the RNA. So the RNA does not create the wrong DNA that you get defects. It's very simple. Any questions?
Mr. Kesh, I have a question regarding the single unit that we saw on the table. This is Vivek here.
Hi, Vivek.
Yes, sir. So for that unit that we saw on the table, you said it can be used to regrow limbs or fingers. How would we do that for, let's say, for example, the case that I emailed you?
Yes, so we are supposed to be. That case, you don't need this. That case, you can do it in a very simple way. You can, so with the first time we explained to you the regrowth of the organs, like amputations. In that system, what you do, you have to create a flat coil. You have to create at least 2 or 3 flat coils, or 4 flat coils, very tiny one, the size of the finger. That the information, I'll redo it here. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do this. Wait 1 second, please. Uh, I'll open a new one. Let's say you have the finger which is amputated. Let's say the other part is gone. You can put a small system. You need at least 4. One nano-coated with GANs of CO2. One nano-coated with the GANs of copper oxide. One nano-coated with zinc, and one nano-coated with CH3. The information carrying from the body will come. One of the systems will absorb it, and continuously any information coming will get absorbed by the disk according to what it is, and feed back if there is a need to the others. So as long as the brain concerned, because the information is going and there is no feedback, and some feedback when it's needed, as the brain requested to know how the development is, the finger will gonna grow. It takes the time for it, and all you need to do, the maximum distance between the system and your finger cannot be more than 3 millimeters. This is what we have found, that if you make it 4 millimeter, 5 millimeter, the information disappears. If you go to very close, you absorb everything from the growth of the other part of the cells. Because don't forget, everything here is a plasmatic too. The other way to do it, you can't make the coil, is get a size, exactly the same size as the shape of the finger, nano coat it, GANs it with all the 4 elements, and put it with a way that it can be supported by the finger, and then you see the finger will grow. The finger will not grow here. The finger grows as the brain decides it's time for replacement of the cell. If the replacement of the cell was done yesterday, the day before the finger was cut, and the next reprocessing is in 2 years' time, you have to wait your turn. If there are gaps, the cells will support each other to build it. So you see a natural reproduction. There are ways, if you connect this system to the emotional part and you create a wish to bring a faster growth, you can control the faster growth. This process and this process is exactly the same as I explained with the reptiles. When they lose their tail, the pressure of the change in the point of the cut creates a condition of the nanomaterial here. that it absorbs the energy and the brain continuously replaces it. That's how they create their tails. The regeneration comes because the last cell gets separated slightly with the liquid of the lymph, and that gap with the end product of the nanomaterial created creates to absorb all the information which is coming from the brain of the animal. And as far as the animal concerned, it never knows its tail is fallen off. You've never seen a reptile looking in the back, where is my tail? Because it's never aware of it, because it does not even feel the pain. Because at that moment, instantaneously is created the very high temperature, very much like a caustic nano layer with a lymph separation. So now what you have is a nano layer, a very small amount of lymph at the end of the body. And that's why they don't feel the pain, because this nano layer absorbs the pain which comes here. The pain comes from the feedback of the energy which has come through the brain and cannot be dissolved. We call it phantom pain, because the energy comes to replace a large number of cells and it has nowhere to go. So the energy released in the skin or in the muscle, and you feel it as a pain. That's what pain is a vast amount of energy. So here the nano layer absorbs it. And because you absorb it, there is no energy release. The animal never feels a single pain. There is no. We've done this. We know it's done. It's done by an Iranian woman, and we've done it another pain. This is exactly why when you said you put a gans of material tissue on the skin, there is no pain and you find a healing, because this gans absorbs the energy which is coming from the skin, because it's got CO2 in it and your amino acid is CHN. So it has a connection balance. That's why there is painless on the repair. Because the energy release is balanced, the repair is very fast, because it has the time to reset or adjust. Understand the process, just don't follow it because it's said so. Understand why these things happen. So in the case of your friend, he's just fresh as a few days. He's lost the tip of his finger. Just
Yes,
pardon?
just a few days only.
Yeah, you can place it now. It's not too late. You will see. Who's on the net, please? We see cameras. All you need to do is, and then if you watch it, because you are using copper and the energy of the copper is balanced with the amino acid of the body of the man in the tissue, red tissue muscle, you see no infection. It's the same as we discussed earlier on with the copper scrubbing machines.
So along with this, the area should not be bandaged up. It should be left to air.
Well, it's good to bind, but you got to make sure it's in the position. The copper oxide on nano coating will create its own infection, its own disinfection. It will not create unless you put something in it deliberately. So as long as it's kept clean and you can position the plate within 3 millimeters from the cut, the you can see into the finger as it grows. It's there, it keeps on growing, but there is no infection. Caroline, do you have that with you? With you, or is it in Italy? Of the finger of the toe of. Do you have it here? Can you find? We can show you how it will look, because you see the muscle tissue, you see the bone, but you see no infection, and this carries on forever. And once the body got used to it, you can take it away, it still stays the same, and then it closes itself if you remove it. You can, it's not,
Wonderful.
it's, within the first 7 to 10 days it can be done, but if it's done at the point of the amputation, it's much faster.
Yeah, we are still within the window, so we
Yeah,
can do
try
it
it.
very
Just
quickly.
nano coat, nano coat, nano coat copper oxide, dip it in CO2. The copper oxide itself is there, CH3, and a zinc, because it has to carry the emotion. Zinc oxide is needed. And then just place it in a very, make 2 or 3 of them, that next time when you're changing it, you just replace the next disc.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. If it's the size of the foot at the amputation of, let's say, a leg or an arm, you make it the same size and you see the arm growing. It just grows back up like this, but it takes time because in the memory brain of the man, the replacement comes over 9 years, especially like for female. Other parts is between 2 to 6 years. But if there is a part which is needed to be produced in 3 years' time, and then other parts of it are created around it, by the time the whole structure is solidified, the time comes for the replacement of the piece which was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they support each other. So,
So, question. In space, if let's say, you don't want to wait so long, then how would a system work to actually regenerate and regrow the limb quick?
put it this way: does time exist in a space that you don't want to wait so
Ah, good point.
long? You've got to understand. Caroline says, remember to say this works so the same for animals. So if your dog has a problem, put him in between the system.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Yes, from Lothar, we have a question. How can we treat Lyme disease and thyroid disease with this system?
Stay in between it and see if it's real, especially for the first one.
For the Lyme disease?
Yeah, Lyme disease, to my knowledge, has a border barrier between Belgium and Holland. In the north, they call it Lyme disease. In the south, they call it fibromyalgia. That's what I've seen up to now. So we process the fibromyalgia the same as the Lyme, and it always responds.
Okay. Can a person with knee replacements or hip replacement use this unit?
No.
So even if they had a problem with an arm or something, they should not use the unit?
We don't that it causes problem because if it's anything which is synthetic, the bone grows and is trying to reject what has been put in there.
Right.
We done that with one of our friends. He came says he can try it in Belgium, and it causes pain because the bone tried to grow and they already put a metal in there like titanium bone or whatever, and he wants to move in its growth and it creates problems. It's better not to try anything which has been redone.
Okay. How long is it needed for the body of a man to stay within the coils?
Depends for what and what you want to do. Are you hungry? You want to feed yourself? Whatever you put in there, you want to have the energy of what do you call it, repair of all the cells, or you have a few seconds just be in there and go out? Do you want to have a long energy feed or a small energy feed? Is the cancer? These things you all will tell us in no time. But with what we've shown today with Renan, and I know a lot of you will start producing it, you should not see any cancer. You should see the reversal of cancer very rapidly. There is no need for chemotherapy. Throw them in the bin.
And what about teeth? Will they grow or regrow with this system?
In so many ways, yes.
It would tend to reject
I tell you so. Yes, it will do because you touch. You have to understand the process. How there's a difference between the growth of the first teeth and the second generation. Now you can teach your brain to need the third one because that's how we learned. Why did body did not create the same structure from the beginning of one tooth? Why do we have the structure? Because there was a need for it. Now you can teach the brain and emotionally, I'm in pain, I can't eat, I need food, I need to enjoy it, the pleasure of life. I need the tooth will grow. We just need to create information. That's what they call evolution.
I did hear a story recently about a monk or guru that Just he was very old, and he'd already gone through 2 or 3 sets of teeth, and he decided to start regrowing his teeth, and was able to do so apparently.
Yeah, you create the emotion. Emotion brings the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can concentrate, you can create.
Okay, how about the process of regrowing cross ligaments in knees?
Who is suffering with it?
Gulam asks.
You can do.
Gulam.
It can be done. One of the best way to express ligaments change, especially tendons, is to get like I was discussing this with Dr. Pavis yesterday, the day before. If you, for example, get the sheep or lamb or a cow ligament, like a foot, which is full of bones and ligaments, and there is no muscle tissue in it, more or less, and boil it, and then, or make a gans of it, and then cover your knee ligament with it, you find the repair will come very fast. Or put it as part of the structure of the system, feeding system. And I know what I'm talking about. I suffered this from my childhood. I was explaining to Dr. Pavis yesterday that yesterday before, an old doctor said to my father, that's all he needs to do. If you eat the foot, the ligaments will repair the tendons of the knee, and it worked. Because now you got to realize in human body and the animal body is 100% the same. I was thinking yesterday, shall we teach them something very interesting? Ask yourself a very simple question. If you put everything which is the man body is made of between these two systems, ask yourself a single question. This is a system, and now you have managed to understand the energy. Put an energy maggraph system here and allow the system to do its work. Would we create a new generation of being which have no attachment to physicality of this planet? The answer is yes. This is how life is created in the universe. Now man has the condition to create. Man becomes the creator. Whatever he needs to create in this environment. Because now you control the environment itself. Would you like to have a dog which is made of hydrogen only? Possibly you can. As long as you can control the transfer of energy that you can control through one element, which is impossible. It is not what has the life of a dog. Maybe, as I always say, if you understood this, then you answer one of the oldest mysteries in the human being. I made man in the image of myself. I transfer the energy which carries me, and into existence I receive what I need from it. Any other question? We are going into nearly...
Moran, this is Dave again from St. Louis. I just got to ask you. This has been bugging me.
I have a right not to answer you, but I'll try.
Okay, I like a little humor. You're getting pretty good at that too. Now, my hearing is I can hear a pin drop, but it's very hard for me to hear conversations sometimes. And I would just love to know, are you talking?
Let me ask you before you go anywhere. Is it just the conversations which you don't hear?
I'm talking about a technical problem. I cannot hear you very well. Your voice seems very dim all the time. I have to turn my volume all the way up, and then everybody else who comes on the broadcast, they're blowing my speakers out. And I would ask you if you could please get a new microphone or have someone go in.
Maybe you don't want to hear the truth. That's why you can't hear me.
No. Well, how does this sound? Is this normal? Okay.
Better now.
I'm raising my voice. Pardon me. That's all I wanted to say.
Does it sound better now?
Oh, you're a little bit overmodulated.
It's to do with the control people in the background. They control what I say.
Yes.
Uh,
But I'd say, believe me, average your volume is about half as much as everybody else's, and I would
It's
like
true.
to.
It is an issue that many people have brought up. I brought it up many times. We've tried to deal with it, and we aren't able to deal with it apparently. So that's the way it is right now.
we changed sets, microphones, everything.
Well, I can tell you as a next.
Maybe your emotion hears, maybe your physicality hears, and you don't hear the part of the emotion.
Well,
That's
maybe we need to put some nano coating on your microphone.
I'll try next time.
But there's such a thing called an automatic volume control, and maybe if we could implement that on your microphone, that would alleviate the problem.
We asked Logitech to take. Don't forget, I talk for a long time, and my headphone moves, my microphone moves
Yes.
quite a lot.
Uh,
And sometimes it's
Moran,
good, sometimes bad.
Moran, you sound perfect now. You sound absolutely perfect now.
I just moved my microphone.
Unfortunately, Dave, every time you talk, I have to move the volume back down so it doesn't overmodulate my live stream when his volume is up. So that's the way it goes here. It's compromise.
We are going on nearly 5.5 hours.
I would really like to get it all evened out so our broadcasts are perfect.
Yeah, well, maybe you should become our sound guy. That's a possibility. Okay,
I don't think I could.
That's fine. Let's deal with that later. That we're done with that topic
Are
now.
there any other questions?
I'm sorry to interrupt. We're on a great path here. I hate to interrupt that, but I really wanted to bring that subject up. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Well, like you say, Mr. Kesh, we've gone on for quite a long time here. Perhaps it's good for.
We allowed 8 hours for today. So if there are no questions or if there are reflection, we can stop and carry on. Or we let the people build it and we discuss it on Thursday. Open teaching.
I just want to finish with Mr. Kesh. Look in your operating system on your microphone and see if you can turn it up, please. That's all.
Thank you very much. We start to do that.
Oh, you can't have Vince do everything. You've got to be your own master of your own computer.
Not with me. I can do everything else. Any computers. Somehow I never became friendly with these from the time I was introduced to them.
Do you have an Apple computer?
No.
Oh, that's your problem.
Okay, Dave. Dave, like we said, we're done with this topic for now, so that's enough. Thank you.
This, please. Pardon?
That's just.
Dave, that's enough. That's enough, Dave. We're going to stop now on that topic. Thank you. Well, like you say, Mr. Kesh, I think probably you need a break at this point, or like there's other questions as far as people want to know, for example, how to make the plasma batteries. That's a couple of questions on that.
Would you like to take over? I stop the screen sharing.
What's the question, Mr. Chris?
Can you teach us how to make a proper plasma battery capacitor?
Proper plasma battery capacity. Ah, okay.
We can see you this time. You can't hide, huh? Unless you just want to see
The reason you cannot always see me because I'm always behind the camera.
us. Now you can come in front of the camera. Leave it with Brandon.
So I'm always holding the camera for everyone to see. The plasma battery.
Yeah. Can you explain what it means, how it works, especially the new ones you're building, combination of battery and a plasma capacitor?
Oh, okay. This one. Yeah.
I
Okay.
I left you to share a screen.
We have to show the
Can you share the screen? Yeah.
okay the video. This one is one. Can you zoom in?
No, no, we got to see the face. He always hides from me. He never shows his face.
Okay.
Hi, hi, Rennie.
Hi.
Sit down, sit down, sit down. We got to see you.
Okay, we would like you to see the actual capacitor. This is the split and the difference. What's the difference? We have a middle. The middle wire is just a nano coated wire. That's for the split capacitor. Yeah, this one is the split capacitor. We have two coils, and for the simple capacitor, we don't have this part here. We only have this part. The middle wire is nano coated wire, wrapped around with paper with GANs, and wrapped again with a nano coated wire, where one end is pointed to itself, and the other end for the other terminal. The middle terminal is the negative, and we consider this one as the positive. This one. Now this whole thing is the split capacitor where we connect this other coil, uh, feeding back toward the middle. The other one, this is the new one. This is the half of it is uh, wrapped with aluminum foil. The other half is just paper with GANs that is wrapping the middle wire. This time we're using the stranded wires, more field interaction because each strand is nano-coated. So the other side is the paper is wrapped with aluminum. We've noticed that when we wrap with aluminum, you get higher voltage potential compared to without the aluminum foil. Okay, that's all for the yes.
The battery is a nano coated wire in the middle, cans of paper, aluminium wrapped,
yes,
and then you put the coil on top of it.
Yes.
And the capacitor has no aluminum foil.
Correct.
Does it make any difference if you put nano coated aluminum or titanium? Would you get more power out of it?
Yes. When we put a layer of a foil outside, yeah, it does make a difference.
What is the difference?
You get higher potential, voltage potential.
With the nano coated?
Yes, yes. We've noticed that also.
Okay. Okay.
Because there will be more.
Now, can we see your face, please? Hello, a face I was talking to for months. He refuses to come on camera. Now we know. Thank you very much for your hard work. Highly appreciated. A lot of things you see in the development of the coils goes back to what Vernie has done with the others. Uh, Thank you very much, Vernie. Go back. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Uh, can we go back? I saw a question mark and something about the knee. You see that? In the chat, there was somebody asking a
It
question about
says,
the knee.
well, someone mentions the 6 double coil system does not cover the knees, but I believe it's adjustable, is it not?
Yes, you can make it. You can make a different strength or different size coils. You can make a coil, the system which is like covers the whole knee, back and the front, but you have to make a connection between the back section and the front section. These double cell, like what you see front and back, is one of the most effective ways to reverse disc damage. It works miracles. It works within days. It creates a balance. It dehydrates, or what it takes away the dehydration of the disc, and you just find people just walk off with no problem. All they need to do is just to sit amongst it for a few hours a day, and then it's done totally naturally. Any disc damage is not a remedy for it.
Mr. Kesh, instead of making a movable system, is it possible to make a full height system instead?
Yes, that's what you can do. In the teachings before, when we were showing the stackers with somebody who showed the 9 stackers, explained that you can do that. It becomes like a maglev. It will be, has to be a maglev feeding system, or whatever you want to call it. But now, for the first time, as I said before, because the system creates a dynamic, both gravitational and magnetic field, you find out there is no reoccurrence. Even, for example, you have a problem with your mother, and then you end up with your breast cancer, because you elevate the emotion of the man, you elevate the emotion, the soul of the man or woman. Uh, then you find out that in that elevation, you even forget you hate your mother, that it leads you to other things that you didn't want to have it, or to be born, or not to give birth to another child that it suffers like you. This is the beauty with this system. And then the beauty of it is you decide when you want to terminate the physical life.
Along the same lines of question, Mr. Kesh, I have a question regarding my own mother. When I was born, her womb dropped, and now in old age, her womb is dropping quite badly out of the vagina. Would the rectification of that be the same as a woman who is trying to bear children?
I cannot answer you that. That's a physical damage. The bearing of a child is emotional with the physical. You'll find out in the tests we done, even the women who do not have eggs, they reproduce eggs because they produce the fields of the existence through their body. And one of our listeners, I hope he's there, he's one of the well-known public figures internationally. He carries my systems with him around the world. And because he wants to have children. And it's been granted because that was his wish. He carries it in his I can't tell you about, but he is a high power person. He carries it literally with him around whatever. And the last time I met him, he says, "Do you want to see where it is?" I said, "Where?" He says, "There it is. I'm sitting on it." It's not having a child. Is you create a plasma which creates a condition. It changes the condition of the womb in a way to pressure in the psychological path. And it works. I've seen people getting pregnant who never thought they'd get pregnant. Any other question? You see the picture which is on the screen. Now you have all the capabilities to affect this. And that's where the change comes from now on. You have the possibility to change this. And this is what your body is made of. When you have a carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen, and oxygen, you create a plasma. And now, this plasma, you can control what gets attached to it, how it gets energized. Because now you're made of it and it's here. You can feel it, you can control it. That's a change. It'll be very interesting when you put a man here and you connect the feeding end, the load end into a salt, what you'll be collecting at the bottom. And then you see what was the residue. When somebody has a cancer, would you collect copper or zinc here? Because we know cancers are always connected to heavy elements in the body. We will see a lot of things. See if you can collect gold from your body on this. Any other questions?
This is Dave from St. Louis. Would you say that cancer is like a supercell that it morphs?
No, we have explained this deeply before. Cancer comes when the gravitational magnetic field of the center is heavier than its environment. And because of its heavier gravitational field, it absorbs all the fields. So it feeds itself because it receives more and more. And the more it receives, the bigger it becomes. And in that process, if you can transfer this information that he has managed to gather more to another cell, and then this cell now does the same, the replication starts. More cells will gather that position, but they find out what they are connected to. To start a cancer, you need a heavier element in the center. And very much, if you see the way you press the thing, it radiates outward, and then you can see it. It absorbs, it always gets more, and then it feeds itself, transfer that energy, and the replication stops. Because now more of them.
So in other words, it's a hog cell. It takes more oxygen, and it steals from the other ones.
Doesn't steal? It's just it's given to because it has a more energy gravitation. It's got more gravitation than magnetic. It's a very straightforward condition.
Well, it's a bully. It takes from all the other cells.
No, it doesn't. It's given to. He cannot take if it's not given to. And it creates a condition that why it's given to comes from the emotion side which feeds it. Any other question?
There's an interesting.
I saw somebody.
Go ahead.
I saw somebody saying, "Can I speak about the communication system I've developed?" He says, "Thanks. I'm still having problem in understanding the connection of magraphs. The blueprint will be published. You can look at it. How it's done. The technical drawing will be done by Renan and Robert in the United States. That you can see the way Robert uses the connections. It makes it very easy. You can never make a mistake. It's a color combination. It's very easy. Seen in this shown. It's working. Okay, somebody says it's got a communication system.
Communication system.
I think a lot of people going to work or going to sleep.
That's a good question. I wanted to ask you, Moran. Uh, Now, if we take a regular radio transmitter and a receiver, and we nano coat the
No, no.
antenna,
Let us see what's coming up first, please. Let's see what this gentleman has developed, and then we come back to answer. Because we are here today, nothing to do with the teaching, but communication can be used for medical application. I want to know what is available.
I see there's a question, can Dr. Kesh talk about the device's ability to communicate with the user? But you mean somebody's actually has something they want to show?
I'm hoping it's in line with the instantaneous communication that we've spoke of.
We'll come to the communication when we build the first spaceship.
There's a question, where is the wire connected, which goes from the gravitational inner coil to the magnetical middle outer coil?
The same as before. It goes into from magnetical, the gravitational goes to the supply, and the magnetical goes out to the load.
Just like all the other drawings.
It's a techno drawing. Will be released by the Innovation Center. You can see it because you have to receive. You see the shape of the green one, the line, not this one. The other one is coming up from when you feed. I explained this to Renan, and they've done a beautiful job of it in the drawing. Everything has to be symmetrical in respect to the flow. And then you see the magnetical goes up, and then gravitational has to need a feedback into the. At the moment we take all the magnetical and we go out. In the health systems, you have to feed part of the magnetical of outer ring into the gravitational entry of the middle ring. So can you have can you shrink this one, which I can explain, please? Just shrink the size a little bit, please, and bit more, bit more, bit more, bit more. Can we have a single cell that we can see? Okay. In the medical sections, you have to do this. Stop, stop, stop. It's good. You have, this is going now. Oops, stop. You're going too fast for me. You feed this one to your other system. But like the other one, with the health one, you have to feed through the gravitational to your feeding side. You have to have a feedback. At the present, we come in the coil, we go to the gravitational, we go to the second gravitational, then we go to the magnetical inner, and we go out. Now that you go out with a health system, you have to have a feedback from your magnetical back to the gravitational point. You take two exits both ways, one that way and one back in through the same pipe that it goes down and it feeds itself. Or you can do it the other way, just by the side, just feed a line to it, add to your input of negative of gravitation. You need this. This is needed in the space technology too. A feedback of the plasma then gives you a long-term continuity of the use of the same plasma. If you look at it, you do the same thing in your batteries, huh? You put a coil here and you put a coil here. You feed one coil back. Now, in the energy, you don't need it that much. But in the space technology and the health, you have to create a feedback along the internal or external that it feeds part of it back. And you find out you can control everything exactly the way it's done in the universe. Because now you dictate the path of the flow. And it has to come directly
Hello?
as it's shown. Yes.
Hello?
Who's speaking?
Hi, my name is Kosal. My face
His name is Bara. I have accomplished communication with the device. It's sentient.
Where are you from?
I'm from Texas.
Okay.
I'm from Garland, Texas.
Can you explain to us what you're talking about, please?
Yes, here you go. If you can see my video.